Alright, well today I'm going to work or at least start on changing my fork seals on my V65. Um, if you look right down here, you can see why there's fluid dripping out of that, and where does it go? Right down into your brake pads, and then she won't stop. So, to start with, the easiest way I found to do it is put it on your center stand, and I got this little scissor jack. I think it came out of a Subaru or something. And just put it under. If you have your factory lift bar, then just your guard bar, just hook it up under there and lift it up in the front. Um, if you want, there's a million different ways to do that. There's these side bars under here. You can pick it up. You'll find some way to pick it up. But then you got to figure out where to start. And you're going to need Allen wrenches, a couple different sizes. Now, I already loosened almost everything up, but you're going to want to loosen this one, this top piece right here. Just loosen them, and let's see. And we've got another bigger size for this one down here. You're going to want to loosen these up as well. And let's see. So, we loosen these up on the bottom. There's an Allen bolt on the very bottom of this that you can use to drain the oil. And sometimes they're a little stubborn and they don't like to come out. So you might have to fiddle with it, yank it a little bit to break it loose, and just keep spinning it till it comes out of there. And once you got that one loosened up, I went ahead and loosened everything because I'm got to take the forks off anyway. So let's see, I'll get this out of here. Maybe. Come on, come out of there, sucker. And here comes fork oil. Alright. Now there's more oil in there than the little trail. You can just barely see it trickling out. But I'm going to let that drip for a while. And what I do for these is I use an impact, and what is this? I think it's a 24, and that will fit right down on top of your fork tube. And you can loosen that up. You know, there's a spring in here, so you want to make sure that it's lifted up before you take these off, because it'll pop out. But see, now that I loosen that up, there is the fork oil coming out. So I'm going to pause that right here so I can drain the oil out of both sides, and then we'll come back to it. Okay, so I drained the fork oil out, and I went ahead and took fork caps off, because of course it just lets it run out easier that way. And then next, what I do is you're going to want to get an Allen wrench and loosen this clamp right here that holds your axle on for your front wheel. And once you got that nice and loose, then I use an impact again. And go back to the impact and spin it off of there. Now there's a spacer right here, and your steering setup is right there. I drink a little bit, so anyways, you want to take care of that. And then you just want to work that axle out of there like that. roll your front wheel forward. There's the spacer. You don't want to lose that. Wiggle it a little bit, and your speedo cable will drop down there. And so I'm just letting the wheel sit loose right here because it's supported by the jack. So next we will go on to removing the brakes. You can take the brakes off first if you want to. I mean, this is the way I'm doing it. I thought I'd document what I was doing as I went along. So all right, let's take the brakes off and go from there. I also just wanted to make a note that when you pull the brakes off, this on the right side, it's only got 2 bolts holding on here, and these are both Allen heads as well. So you want to loosen those up and pull them out, and then what you're left with is this. And I don't like to leave it hanging because, you know, it leaves stress on your hydraulics here. So here you go, bungee cord through the eyelet and swing it over your headlight or whatever's handy, piece of string, whatever, just to hold it back up and out of the way and keep the stress off of that hydraulic. And then of course once you got this side off and suspended there, if you wiggle the wheel a little bit, you can just take that sucker right out of there. You want to make sure you remember to put your wheel on the right way when you're done. Okay, so next you can come over to this other side. I mean, it probably would have been easier to take the brakes off first, but that's the way I did it. This top one is a 14, and this should be a 12. So you want to take this one out. That is, and then we'll take this one out. And you're going to want to take this one out as well. This is, there's a bracket on it that holds onto your speedometer cable to keep it out of the way. And that uses a 12 as well. Now there's a bushing that's in here. I'm just going to leave that alone for now. I mean, you can take it out if you want, but it sits pretty tight in there for this track system. And it saves you from losing shit down the road. So take that out. Slide this out. And take it out of here. And once again, just hang this up out of the way. I mean, I just got a bungee draped over the top of my headlight to hold both calipers there. So there's the wheel off. The fluid is out. And we got the wheel and the brakes off. And the next thing you're going to want to do is take your bracket off here. I've got an extra plate down in here. If you don't have one of these extra plates in here, you might want to get one, because from what I understand from reading, these things crack and then you're going to eat shit. So it's worth it to have that extra little plate in there. So let's see, back to my Allen wrench here. There are 4 of these suckers on here. They're on there pretty tight. A lot of times I have stuff on this bike that's just really tight. That's where this comes in. My super leverage pole. It fits over the end of my Allen wrench nice. And on this end I smashed the other end for taking my carburetors out. But anyway, leverage. So we'll get these out of here. Alright, so there we go, plate off. This is the regular brace, and this is my extra support brace that I got. It's a steel plate that goes in there, because sometimes I don't trust aluminum. And it's, your forks are going to move around on here. I mean, so once you've taken the screw out on the bottom, it's just loose from the assembly that's inside. See a nice dark ring from where my fork oil's been planting itself. Now next you're going to want to grab this grab your fork and twist it a little and it'll start sliding down, see? Some people will put a little piece of tape right here to mark where the guide is, but up here there is a clip. You don't want to damage that clip. That clip stops it right there so that this pressurized fork seal that goes across the top of the tubes fits in perfect, and it works good for a marker when you put it back on. So I'm going to slide this down. Oh, I'm dripping. And when you do, take this little ring off and set it aside. Don't forget to put it back on when you put the forks back on. We'll set that down there. So, oh, she looks kind of sad that way, doesn't she? Okay, so here's the right side fork off. You've got it off, and you've got this Allen out of the bottom, and you want to pop this off. That's just the top cap, you know. It's just a dust seal. Set that over there because that's actually not in horrible shape. I might save that one. Okay, next you're going to look down. It was very hard to see down in there. But trust me, there's a clip down in there that needs to come out. Now, what I do is I got a different style of clip that's easier to get out. But you're going to need something like this. It's a snap ring removal. You can pick that up at any auto store. And normally, with the factory stock ring, this is going to go down in here, find the little holes in your clip, and jiggle it till it comes loose. It's a lot harder to get the original ones off than this one is, but see what I've done. Let's see if I can get some more light on this. Now what I did is, this is a totally different kind of clip than what you're going to find in there originally. But see this wire clip here? I picked this up off eBay, and it works perfect. And I wish I remembered where I got it, but I don't. But it takes the place of that original clip, and you can just take this one out with a screwdriver instead of messing with this guy and George and Frank. You can just take George or Frank and just pop this sucker out of there. Well, now your next thing is going to be, how the hell do I get the fork seal to unseat itself? And that's actually not as hard as you think it would be, because you got the weight of the bottom part of the fork. Just hold on to your shaft and stroke. Oh, well, basically, yeah, you pick it up and let it hammer itself down. So you're going to be picking it up and just shake it like this, and the bottom will bounce up and down, and it'll eventually pop out like that. And there's your seal. Alright, so we got two pieces of the right side taken apart and the seal out. And I went ahead and I thought I'd try these all balls because I heard some good stuff about them and it fit my budget okay. So here is my new oil seal. My other one died. It was rusty and nasty. If you look inside of here, it's really hard to get a good angle on it. There's a couple of seals. You want the sharp side of those seals to face towards the bottom of your fork. So work this sucker over the top and slide her down. Okay. Okay, now you're going to want to slide this back together, and when you assemble this, slide it in, and if you look down inside of the tube, the bottom of this, there's another little tube that this Allen-headed bolt fits into, and the tip of the end of this fits into that little tube. And you might have to fiddle with it a little bit to get it to catch. But once you do, you can start that bolt down in there, and that holds the whole thing together. And we go on to this end, and we're still, of course, when you put your seal in, it's not gonna look like there's any possible way that it can seat like it's supposed to. So shove that down in there, just kind of work it in. Now don't use a screwdriver on this seal, because you will rip it and you will damage it, and then it'll leak, and then the whole thing was for nothing. So you just want to work that in there. I'm using the end of my Allen wrench because it's what I have. I know they make a tool for it. But that's pretty much what we're going for, is just keep pushing it down in there till it seats, and you should be able to see the ring that your clip is going to go back into down inside there. Now once you got it seated down in there, you want to take your clip, whichever style clip you have, press it back down in there till it clicks into place. There's a groove down inside there just on top of the sill that snaps into place. Generally, I think there's like a little foam pad or something and another disc that was supposed to go under here in between the seal once it's seated and the dust cap that fits on top. But I don't have that, and I've heard that they recalled it and told people to stop putting it on there anyways because it rots out the seal. So then what we've got is our dust cap. And of course, it's pretty obvious which way the lip goes on there. That sucker just slides down and press it into the top there. And you're pretty much done with the left side fork. Or excuse me, the right side fork. Okay, so now this cuff sits right, see how it slid down inside? Right at the top of the spring. You can move that up and down. So it is going to move up and down on you. It's going to move around on you. That's pretty normal. I'm going to stop right here, and then I'm going to make a part 2 for the other side and putting oil back in. But it's just too hot to keep going on this today, so hopefully, if nothing else, that helps a little bit. So there you go. I just want to add a reminder, if you want to slide this back on, when you, just to get it out of the way while you go to do the other side, when you slide this back on, make sure you remember this little clip. Goes on there and right into the groove. And then forks will slide back up into place, and make sure that seat's right up in there before you put the top cap on, or before you fill it with oil and then put the top cap back on.